Recorded. All right.
Julie, do we apologize in advance for the tech part of it, possibly?
Oh my goodness, yes. Because Amanda is not with us today. So full disclosure, I'm gonna be totally distracted. I should probably go up. No, I'm not gonna go off screen. You guys can look at the side of my head. But if I kind of get that glazed over look, it means that I'm the one, well, the more than normal glazed over look, Gabe.
Yeah, right, Gabe.
Why? I'm just like watching the professional at work, just admiring your work here.
Just teeing it up for you there, Gabe. Just put it on the tee.
We've reached the point where Gabe doesn't need to even make the comment because we know what the comment is.
I hate to be predictable.
But you know, it's just like he's got me just like I'm like that battered person. It's like, oh, here it comes. Here it comes. Here it comes. Incoming. Oh, here comes Julia. Let's see what Julia. I hope she's not driving.
Yeah, me too.
We're gonna have to see what she's got going on here. She is driving.
She's in traffic.
Are you actually riding?
I pulled over.
Okay. Are you sure you want to do this?
No, just tell us you're driving. We'll be so scared. It'll add a whole level of suspense to the entire.
I was telling them, Julia, I said, Julia might be coming on, but she might be driving. It's like, I'm not sure you want to do tea time driving.
I'm not driving. Okay. I would never. I'm safe.
Okay. And I was just talking to Tom, was just telling, warning the audience because Amanda's not here. So I'm going to be like, I'm going to try and put the books onto Facebook like she does so that everybody has them right away. But so I'll have that kind of like look on my face. Like, what's happening? So Julia, where are you?
I'm in Brentwood, sunny Brentwood, California.
Love it.
Fancy.
Bougie. Might have been to our friends over at Diesel.
I've just left them. Yes.
All right. Awesome. Such a great store. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic. All right. We've got, last week, we already talked about festival books. This week we're getting ready for BoucherCon, which is coming up. Poor Mallory, she's got I think we ordered 7,500 books or some ungodly amount of books for this thing.
I've seen the on-hand quantities, so yeah.
We had to rent a U-Haul. It's just going to be quite the thing. But I mean, 600 authors are descending on San Diego.
And any major mystery thriller writer you have there, right?
Right, is coming to this thing. Baldacci's the headliner. He's one of the headliners. Anne Cleves is one. Jacqueline Winspear's one. Yeah. So it's going to be amazing. But we're just like, oh my goodness. So that's coming. So poor Mallory's, she's doing loading tomorrow. Starts Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's 5 days. It's 5 days.
Wow.
Think about those cons are 5 days.
The cons. I'm like, I'm getting too old for this. I told Mallory, I said, I might be there by 11. I can do that early morning stuff. All right. So it's going to go Gabe, Tom, Julia. Let me get Gabe's always first. Gabe's always first and most important. No, never mind.
He's the opening act, I think.
He's the opening act.
I'm not a warm-up for anybody. I'm a headliner.
Your headliner, the keynote speaker. The keynote speaker.
I got gold. I got gold here.
It's gold, I'm telling you. All right, you go, and I'm going to try and not be completely useless when I go over and do all of the. So here we go.
I'm on the wrong thing. Sorry.
I almost did a PowerPoint today, but I didn't. But I almost did.
Ooh,
you thought about it.
Fancy.
So my first book is going to be shared with you right now because this is a really interesting special book for us. It is the author's second book, Hilary Leichter, and she's got this really obviously an interesting mind, the way her brain works. This is a book about. So they're like connected stories, but it's a novel. So, connected stories are always kind of tricky because sometimes there's a little bit of liberties taken, but these are really kind of like separate stories, but when you read them, they do form this very cohesive novel. It's not like a lot of these story novels are that connected. So this is really connected, and it is a young couple who buys they get a place in a brownstone, limited space. You know, it's like 600 square foot space, and they're getting their life together. And one day their friend Stephanie comes over for dinner, and Stephanie's like, well, we should eat outside. And Stephanie opens up the closet door, and on the other side of the closet, what would be a closet normally, is this terrace, lovely terrace. It's got some nice furniture on it and plants and a tree growing. And it's this place that only Stephanie can bring. So Stephanie's got this sort of magic that she brings to these people's lives and various relationships. So it's a book about relationships. It's a book about what we bring to a relationship and what each individual brings to a relationship. It is also a book about the liminal, so the middle spaces, the in-betweens, which I always find interesting. You're neither here nor there. You're kind of coming or going in your life, and we all have these moments. They're not as concrete as, and even some of the terminology, there's it's sort of, there's sort of this epic geological understanding of us in our place in the world. There's a lot going on here. It's tough to explain. It got an Indie Next pick. It was one of those books that found readers in the world, again, of a lot of major authors, and read this, read that, as books are foisted on a lot of booksellers. This book found a good spot. People picked it up when they got it and read it and recommended it. So we're happy to see. For us, it's a book that's got a lot going on. It's a book that's going to make you work. It's a book that I did a terrible job explaining. So I hope maybe I confused you enough to get you interested in it. But it's just, some books you have to read. Some books are very
right.
easily.
Some of the best books are impossible to explain in a succinct way. I mean,
exactly. So there really is so much going on in this book, and I think the read, thank you, is very worthwhile. It's the kind of book that, again, it takes you to so many different places in your own mind. Your mind just starts firing. And that's really kind of a cool novel.
I need to read this because it's reminding me, maybe it's not, but it's reminding me of a little gem, Gabe, that I think was yours, called Of Things Gone Astray.
You know what? This is exactly what I thought of it. I have another book that kind of took me, and I have such a hard time remembering Janina Matthews.
Yes.
Who is, that is one of my favorite, honest to God, one of my favorite books of all time, possibly.
It's so good. The problem is, though, I think it's out of print.
It's tough. It was tough maintaining an audience. I would continue to sell that book because I keep looking for it.
It is so good, but that's what this is reminding me of, in that it's got you got to let your brain just sort of let it go with the story, because that's exactly what this is reminding of. I got to pick this one up because I loved Of Things Gone Astray.
And part of the thing with Of Things Gone Astray is the connections that all these characters had. I shouldn't have said that. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
But everybody's connected, and I think part of the fun, and I know part of the fun in this book is, where are these various characters connected and how they're connected? So that is like a really good and I did really love that.
I love that book. I looked for it the other day and I was like, it's out of print. I was just like,
how old a book is that? I don't know that one.
8-9 years, 7 years.
It doesn't take that. That's plenty of time for a book to disappear.
Yeah, and it was one of the smaller imprints.
It was an import from Harper 360, which we bring in stuff from the UK and Britain and New Zealand and India.
Yeah. But anybody who's listening out there, if you can get your hands on a copy of Things Gone Astray.
Yeah, that's a book that, yeah.
Okay, so Kim's on here, Tom. She just finished reading James McBride, Heaven and Earth Grocery Store. So good.
Excellent. My sister texted me just the other day and said it was how did she put it? It was like, it really was like, it made her feel so good. Like a book that really, delivered that, and I couldn't agree more. Oh, that's exciting. Excellent.
Okay, what do you got for us, Tom?
So my first book is Capote's Women, out in paper tomorrow. So this was a real nice hardcover success, a bestseller last fall. Lawrence Leamer has been around forever. This is the perfect kind of book for him because he's good at smart, dishy biography. The dishier, the better. And I don't know, I'm not alone, obviously, thank God. I love the Truman Capote tragedy. I will always be fascinated by that story. So this is the story of it's after the big successes, after Breakfast at Tiffany's and In Cold Blood, and then he's in high society. He's friends with all of these rich women who he calls the Swans, women like Babe Paley and Lee Radziwill, who's Jackie Kennedy's sister. He feels a part of their world, and then but at the same time he's telling everybody, or telling his publisher, the word is he's writing his great book will be to come, and it will be, it's called Answered Prayers. That's the idea. But anyway, once they published an excerpt in Esquire in which he told some of the secrets of the Swans, he was cast out. So that's the basics of the story. But what hasn't been told is, Capote's story has been told over and over again, and I will read it over and over again.
Me too.
But this is the story of the women and their lives and how they got to be where they were and in society, and it's their whole story. So it's fascinating if you're at all fascinated by that period of time, the 50s, 60s, 70s. It's fantastic. Ryan Murphy is producing a second season of Feud. I think it's on FX. It will be based on this book. That won't be coming until 2024, but it's casting. It's like everybody you could imagine. Tom Hollander as Capote, Callista Flockhart as Lee Radziwill, Naomi Watts as Babe Paley. There's Molly Ringwald, Demi Moore. These are juicy roles too. It's fantastic.
What's this going to be on?
I think I was looking it up today. I think it's 2024, but it has been.
I want to watch it now.
Or at least who knows where we are with the writer's strike and what that will do to it. But I feel like it was already in production, but I'm not really sure. But we have a burst on the cover, so it is coming, where they say Feud on FX. And then Leamer, he knows a good thing when he sees one. His next book is coming in October from us, and it's called Hitchcock's Blondes, which is about all those blonde actresses that Hitchcock was obsessed with and tortured and tormented, and it's their story.
I love that he takes it from the woman, because you're right, Tom. Capote stuff is like catnip for me. I'm just
what is it about it? I don't know.
I read there was a novel that somebody wrote that just came out this summer, I think, called Such Good Friends, and it's the Truman and Lee Radziwill, but it's a novel.
Oh, really?
It's a novelized version.
How funny.
Right. And it's one of those that it's just like, I was down so many Google rabbit holes wanting to see what they looked like, what was going on. It's I don't know what it is about it, but it's fascinating.
I think that's Babe Paley, who was William Paley's wife.
Okay.
Who ran CBS, super powerful.
But I love that this biographer goes and looks from the eyes of the women, both this one and the Hitchcock one. So that's I love
it's a really smart, these are smart books.
Can't wait for that show. All right, Julia, in your car, coming to us live on the road.
Live from the Subaru. So my first book is Learned by Heart by Emma Donoghue. It comes out tomorrow. And so this one is so cool. I'm so glad I get to talk about it, because this looks at Ann Lister, who people might know from a show on HBO called Gentleman Jack, that is about Ann Lister and her wife. This was in the 1800s. It was pretty early on. They're English, and Ann Lister basically dressed as a man her whole life. Who knows if she would have considered herself trans now or considered himself trans now, but was a pretty big flirt, and had a way with the ladies, and wrote notebook after notebook, journal after journal, sort of talking about this part of her life. This takes place in her boarding school when she's 14, and sort of is her realizing that maybe she's not exactly like other girls. And then Emma Donoghue, of course, many of you probably know her from Room. That was her biggest book, but she writes, what I love about her as an author is like she kind of like takes a new topic in every book and just like grapples with it and like digs in and does the research, and this one is no different. Yeah, I'm really excited about this one. I think it's a really great book. It's a great sort of like, if you like Emma Donoghue, you're going to love it. And if you've never read her before, this might be a good place to start because it's much less heavy than Room. So
Yeah.
you know.
She does. She always just does. I mean, and she writes such different. That's what I love about her, is she's so versatile, but she's so good. I mean, she just is an amazing, amazing author. So love seeing another one by her.
We were just talking about this last night. Deborah, I think, was reading somewhere about it, and she was filling me in on that new Emma Donoghue book. So
probably going, "Where's my galley?"
Yeah, probably.
Tell her to call me, Gabe.
She might have read it. She might have read it digitally. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I've started doing. I finally given up. It's like I've gone to the digital.
I don't know if she actually read it or she read something about it. I wasn't listening to that one.
Oh, well, we're not recording that, Deborah. Don't watch this.
Bleep this out.
Bleep this out. So before we go to your next pick, Gabe, Beth Doherty's on here. She read My Husband.
Oh, fun, right?
So good. Oh my God, I've been talking about it to all like my San Diego people. It's just so like fun. It is just, oh my God, the Clementine being compared to a Clementine. Yes, such a good book. It's one of these books. So we've talked about it, but it's just like this how obsessed this woman is with her husband, and then the end is just like, oh, so good. Anyways, thanks, Beth, for reading it.
Yeah, thank you for that, because it's I hope you enjoyed it, because there's books that are fun to read, and then there's the same old thing all the time, but right. I didn't find this, and it wasn't too long.
No, and that's the thing, and we on the surface it seems like, oh, this has been done before, blah blah blah, but then it was just like, no, it was really good. It was really, I mean, some of the stuff that the main character does, it's just like, oh my God. Oh my God. Yeah.
The French have a different sensibility. It's always,
oh boy, don't they?
As do the Spanish, it's always very different.
Beth's given it a 5 stars. She rarely gives a 5 star. So yeah.
Excellent.
That is good. And you can't really say anything about it because you'll spoil it.
It's kind of a broad. You kind of have to go broad on it.
You got to go broad on it. You just have to just like, oh, you got to experience this one. But boy, because it's quick, you can just tell people that. It's just like, you got to experience it, read it. It's fine.
Yeah, I like the quickness of it. There's something about a quick read that, and short, I think it's like 224 pages.
Yeah, it's a day read, basically. All right, what's your next one?
My next,
and I'm handling the tech pretty well, I have to say. I'm just telling you.
You are.
We were just about to comment on that.
But I'm getting all this stuff onto Facebook. It's like, I am doing it.
We've been actually, nobody's noticed, but we've also been filling in a little more extra time to give you filler time with our comments to get you going.
Thank you, Gabe. Always have my back.
Didn't want it to go unnoticed from the fans.
Yeah, there you go.
So my next book is Dinosaur Friendship. We were just talking before. We don't have a lot of stuff coming out right now. We're getting ready to kick off the fall, so we're at the back end of the season. But this is a series that if you haven't picked up, it was one of these slow starting series. Again, it was from the same imprint that did the Janita Matthews book that we were talking about earlier. They import books, and usually they import like a couple of thousand, and then we sell like 1,500, and then they'll order like another 500, and we'll sell like another 500. They'll order like 300, and so it goes. The world of the very small imprints, trying to stay alive, and then things go out of print, unfortunately, rather quickly. So this is a series where we first released, the first book was Dinosaur Therapy. It was like $12.95, $13.95, and little 5x5 book. And these cartoons, I looked at it and I thought, it's kind of cute, but who's going to care? And I think we advanced something like 2,000 only, and we sold out of that 2,000 before we sold them. They went back for another 2,000, which is huge in that world.
Right.
And they were already gone before they had even gotten printed, I think. And so we chased this for like months. And a lot of the bookstores didn't begin to carry this at the very beginning. So we did Dinosaur Therapy, and it caught on, and you'll see it in most bookstores, I think, from the store. And then we did Dinosaur Philosophy, which is very also very fun because it does ask the big questions and gets you thinking, and you enjoy. And then the new one is Dinosaur Friendships, and it's dealing with anxiety and comfort, and it is the sweetest of the three. It's the least cynical, and not that they're cynical, but it's the least cynical. But there's a little magic to these books because they worked really, really well, and they seem very simple. And next thing you know, you'll just be, you'll be handing them out to friends. My sister-in-law walked into the bookstore one day and saw it and was like, "Oh my God, I read these on somewhere." That she's discovered them and she loves them from wherever she saw them online or printed or something. And she had to like scoop them all up. And I was like, "There's a third one coming next month." So they're always being rediscovered. They're really fun gifts. And if you look at them, they're not particularly corny. They quite work for the independent bookstore audience.
I think it sounds like a good, like that gift that you don't know what to get somebody. You package those three together kind of thing. Right?
Sweet.
A
couple
fun,
of them.
sweet.
And a great little publishing story too.
Yeah.
It found its audience.
Yeah.
I love it. Beth also gave Of Things Gone Astray. If you want to order from the UK, Blackwell's in the UK have it still. So there we go. So
nice.
Everybody wants to find it and get an order off of order from the UK, you can do it. All right, Tom, what do you got?
So my next book is, I love a good language book. So Mother Tongue, The Surprising History of Women's Words. So Jenny Nuttall is a lecturer at Oxford, she teaches, literature, language, Middle English. She's always researching Middle English. So this is about where, language to describe women's bodies, where it comes from. So it's like from the Old English to the present day. And I think the sections are like menstruation, sexuality. Those are the different sections. And then she takes you into like how language has been used to describe childbirth, and gender, of course, all these things and where the words that we have today, where they came from. Because don't forget, the dictionaries were being compiled by men. So there's that. It's fascinating. It's fascinating stuff that I've never thought about, and most of us have never thought about. So it's like taking the what's in the air right now, what we're all talking about, but putting it in like a much bigger perspective, and even how words go out and come back or stay out, and then where the words that we use today come from. Of course, there's hysteria and hysterical. Like she goes into depth about that. That have their very loaded legacy. So it's really interesting. And then there's, of course, Chaucer, of course, is in there a lot because, body sex was there, throughout. So Mother Tongue, The Surprising History of Women's Words.
I love it. Which reminds me,
scholarly but fun.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you learn something, but it's a fun way of learning things and origins. And it's true. A lot of people love the word origin stuff. Or phrases or whatever. Because I just finished Sigrid Nunez's book, The Vulnerables.
Yes, thank you.
And I can't remember what, but there's a phrase in there that she says the right way, but people think she's saying it the wrong way. I don't know. I can't remember what it is, but anyways.
Right.
But it's really fun. It had me thinking about, where do these things come from? So anyways. That was a good one. That one's coming, what? Sigrid's coming November?
Maybe November. Yeah, November. Yeah.
All right, Julia.
Okay, so my next one is called Trail of the Lost by Andrea Langford, the relentless search to bring home the missing hikers of the Pacific Crest Trail.
Ooh.
So this one, like, it's not quite true crime, though it has elements of that. It's not quite a nature book, though it has elements of that. It's not quite a, I mean, it's more than anything like a finding, just like a search kind of book. But what's really interesting is that, so she looks at these 3 different hikers that disappeared along the Pacific Crest Trail, one of them in Southern California, and then 2 up in Washington near in the Cascades. And in like trying to figure out what happened to these 3 people, she sort of stumbles upon all these different like things that happen along the Pacific Crest Trail. So yeah, sure, hikers sometimes fall, or hikers sometimes like hurt themselves and then get attacked by animals or whatever. Things happen in those wilderness areas. But I know that's why you don't catch me. Also reasons you don't catch me on the Pacific Crest Trail, but that is not. But she also kind of like in doing this kind of like has these like very personal moments. So it's like a bit of memoir, it's a bit of you know, history of the trail, and sort of like she talks about different cults that have been like active along the Pacific Crest Trail, and different like there's been murderers and there's been all sorts of different things that are happening. So it's a really fascinating book. It's gotten a lot of great press. People are really loving it. And it kind of like hits for me a lot of things that I am fascinated by. If I don't want to do any of them, but I'm fascinated by people who do want to do these things. So yeah, really great book, Trail of the Lost.
I agree with you 1,000%. I'm fascinated by people who want to do it, especially alone.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like most people do that, and the Appalachian Trail, they do it alone.
It's a commitment, man. It's hard. You have good friends, then you need like a great friend for one of those things.
Yeah, but
a good friend will take you to the airport. But
yeah, exactly. Help you move.
You know? I don't think they'll even help you move anymore.
That might be a great friend category too. The e-ticket friend.
I know. I love it. I think it's from Friends. It's one of them when somebody asks them to move, it's like, oh, I can't because I don't want to. It's not that. It's like, really, oh yeah, I really don't want to. Yeah, the Pacific Crest Trail is a trippy, because when you think about where it goes through the state, I mean, it's Anyways,
it's like a freeway sometimes. It's crowded just summertime.
Yeah, it's really fascinating, because it starts down here in San Diego is the end of it. The end of it, and then it's Anywho, all right, lightning round. Let's see if I can. Maybe don't be too quick on your lightning round, so I can be able to like get it onto Facebook. Work with me here.
Committed to a quick lightning round.
Oh, don't do it to me, Gabe.
Talk about this slowly.
No, too slow.
I mean, what can I say? Babel, RF Kwong. I hope you're typing as quickly as I'm talking.
I am. I'm trying.
You know, we published this in hardback, and we knew it was going to be big, but it was scary how big it was. I just was like, you know, people order books from me, and then I don't hear from them for a while. But when we published Babel, it was like, and before we even released it, or they even got their deliveries, I was getting phone calls. Gabe, I'm gonna need like, you know, X more Babels, and I'm gonna need this many more cartons of Babel. And then when it released, and they were calling me like, Gabe, do you guys have inventory on that? How can I get more Babel? It just really took off. And
it's still in hardcover, right?
Still in hardcover. This is coming out tomorrow in paperback. So it's kind of a quick turnaround, but I thought we might keep it in hardback still, but it's a nice hefty $20, which I think is a good price. Nice big fat paperback. It's going to look amazing again. It's a great package, and we're just excited to keep Rebecca in front of you in such a big way. And her next book will be just down the road in paperback. It's still working very well. Yellowface in hardback. Still getting talked about and getting attention. So she's on a roll. 2 very different books, but Babel just takes you away. This is really a fun recommend. It's good for your young adult reader. It's good for people who don't necessarily read fantasy or that kind of book. She really just it's just nice to get away to a different land and a different place.
Kim's on here. Kim Larue's on here. Gabe saying more babbles. She says it's a great book.
You do. It's
yeah.
I wonder if she's got like another. I wouldn't mind going off into that again.
Into that world again. Do you think it's going to be a sequel? Do you think?
I don't know. It's kind of tough. I mean, it was
okay.
a nice, you know.
I didn't read it yet.
It was like a 500 page or 480 or something. Like that.
As far as I'm concerned, she came out of nowhere to #1 bestseller. Maybe there was more before Babel, but wow.
He had a trilogy that the first book took off real Poppy Wars, and it did really, really well. And then the second book didn't do as well. And then the third book did, but they're still, I mean, they still chugged along. They still went along. They're all in there. I think they're all usually available. You'll find them all in the store still. But yeah, when Babel came out, it was one of those things where I'd been selling her. But it came from like the outside. You know how it is when you're just like everybody out there is talking about it to me, and I'm like I'm on the inside and I'm pumped, and then these people coming at me telling me how amazing it's supposed to be. And the thing is, expectations were high, so you got to deliver because the expectations were really, really high. Because like I said, everybody was before pub, people bought a lot. You know, it takes a lot for indie bookstore to buy a lot. Really, you got to be pretty established. And her trend was kind of like this after the first book. But which sold great, but not huge. It sold well, but not super, you know. But this when Babel hit, it was like, wow.
But that's the thing, because I was going through some stuff, and I've got that, and I got Fourth One kind of lined up because I have some other books that I had to read for a deadline. Anyways, Julia got one too. Gabe, you gotta give me some to read. Anyways, but I was on my list, but I did read Yellowface because Yellowface was just like, her writing is so good. She's such a good writer. And so that's, I can't wait to get to it because that's going to be kind of like, that's my candy reading. Anyways. All right. Tom.
Okay.
Latin and round.
So I don't talk about backlist books enough. I'm going to try. I'm going to start talking about them more often because these books need to be discussed, year after year after year. Yep. So this is Rules for Visiting, Jessica Francis Cain. I was trying to remember. It came out in.
I think we did talk about it.
We did talk about it. Maybe we did. Maybe that first year. I think it probably came out in 2019 in hardcover, and then 2020 it came out in paper.
In paperback.
Yeah. So it's a beloved backlist book among indie booksellers in general, but especially I was doing some research today at Warwick's, where Warwick's leads the country in sales of Rules for Visiting. So the booksellers there.
Wait, the country?
Yeah, on the tree line, what we look at.
Right. What you guys look at? Yeah.
Which I'm sure, but I bet that means for a book like this, leads the country. Yeah, I think we can say leads the country, which is amazing. But that just is the testimony to, it's both the book, but also when a store like Warwick's, an indie bookstore, gets behind a book, it's just there. It lives there forever. And it's a book that I was thinking about today. We read a lot of books, some stay with you, some don't as much, but this one has stayed with me. So it's about this really prickly character, May Attaway. She's a botanist. She works at a university back east. She loves literature. She loves plants, and she loves trees most of all. People, not so much.
Is this a story about me?
You said it, not me. But she's living with it. She's carved out a nice life for herself. She's just turned 40, and she is starting to think like, what is next for me? She likes her life. Her father is widowed. She lives with him. She has this great life at the university. Then she gets a sabbatical, and she decides she's going to go visit. Maybe she's not doing friendship as well as she should. So she has 4 old friends from different parts of her life. And during the sabbatical, and that's what happens in the book, she goes to visit each one. And it's about, it's in this time of, it came out when it was before COVID, but we were still isolated because of all of our gadgets, right? We became even more isolated in the next, few years after that. So it's even more relevant now, but she's actually leaving her house and doing something that's out of her comfort zone to visit her friends. But it's not sentimental. It's feel good, but not at all sentimental, because that character cannot ever be sentimental. That's not who she is. So it's travel, It's trees or gorgeous illustrations of trees in there. It's short. It's just really substantial, but also really nourishing in some funny way. I love it. And I'm only, the only thing that makes me sad is we don't have a new book from Jessica Francis Kane. I think we're going to have it in the next year or two, but it'll be worth the wait, I'm sure. But in the meantime, if you don't know Rules for Visiting, discover it now.
Right. Well, Beth Johnson's on here saying she'll have to add it to her list, but
Excellent.
Beth Doherty's on here that this is another one of her 5 stars.
Oh wow! Oh, that's fantastic. And it's a book that I admit it. Publishers can move on from books so quickly that so I've sort of like I've read it's now. I'm going to try to bring it around to a lot more stores. Warwick's is doing great.
We're doing okay.
Yeah. We need to get it more. We need to get more bookstores back in the business of Rules for Visiting.
But that's when both of them are saying too, though, that they love the backlist recommendations because it is something that, resurrecting some of these titles that, like you said, we kind of pass through them so quick. It's like, 3 months later, what's next? But
right.
there's some gems out there.
Right. And this is a book that, it shows what indie bookstores can do because it's in its 6th printing. And that is not from any big chains or big online retailers. That is indie bookstores.
Yeah. That's a 6th printing is authors would love to have 6 printings.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Julia, take us home.
Okay.
And then literally you can drive home.
Yeah. Actually, I'm driving to the gym after this. So
and considering the traffic you'll most likely encounter, there's no rush.
Yeah.
Oh God. Yeah, right.
No kidding.
So I have a middle grade book that I just really loved. And so I brought for people to think about for their kids, their grandkids, their nieces, nephews, whoever. It's called Clouds Over California, and it's by Karen Parsons. If you are of my elder millennial / younger Gen X generation, you might remember Karen Parsons as Will Smith's cousin on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Hillary. But now she writes books, and this is her 2nd novel. Her first one was called How High the Moon, which got starred reviews in Kirkus and a bunch of other places. And this one, what I really love, it takes place in LA in the 1970s, and it's about a girl who sort of somewhat akin to the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air gets sent to live with her aunt and uncle and their daughter because she's been like hanging out with the Black Panthers. And in doing so, basically the daughter who lives in this house with her parents, the young girl's aunt and uncle, the daughter sort of like starts to come into her own, and they start to go to these like Black Panther meetings together. And so it's this really like great story. It's really fun. It's like touching. It's lovely coming of age story about these 2 Black girls in Los Angeles sort of like learning about themselves and about, culture and about, sort of what the Black Panthers were doing at the time, most of which was like great, like, providing providing food for people and protection for communities that didn't feel protected from the police and stuff like that. And so it's just it's a great book. I really highly recommend it. And I think it's also kind of a fun summer book, even though what I just described doesn't seem like it. It kind of is. It's LA, they're hanging out in Venice and doing all this stuff. And so, yeah.
Sounds really good. Sounds fun.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. All right. A friend of mine just today asked me because she didn't want to go out, and she's like, there's so many new books. She goes, give me a classic for my book club. So she kind of did the same thing, sort of like a backlist. And so it reminded me, I was looking at my shelf. So on my backlist that I'll give you today is one called, I don't know, who does Carol Shields here? Unless Stone Diaries. Viking did. Stone Diaries. Did you guys? Yeah.
Yeah.
So Unless, I loved that novel. That was such a good novel. Oh my God, that was the one of hers that I really liked. So if you haven't read Unless, I'll stick it in the little chat here for y'all. Doesn't look like we have it in the store, but we probably can get it from Ingram pretty quickly. So anywho, I conquered the tech today. I have to say, Amanda, don't stay gone too. I think she's gone next Monday too.
I was going to say, we still need Amanda, but
we still need Amanda. This was a little, my shoulders were up. I was like, it was a little tense.
So next week you'll be relaxed. And
no, she's gone again.
Oh, but now you've done it. You know,
yeah,
you got this.
It's still a little. I was looking at my face. I was watching my face. It was doing one of those like. It's not good. No, Amanda's a Burning Man.
Oh, she'll have stories.
Oh God, yeah.
There we go.
I was just like I went down that little Google.
How long do you? Is just one when one goes to Burning Man? How long is?
It's like
10 days.
Yeah.
What? That's a lot of Molly, man.
Thank you guys I got everybody on Facebook saying that I did a good job. So thank you for that. Yeah, no, it's forever. Burning Man's forever.
It's a long time.
And there's like, you're in the desert. You're not in a hotel.
It's a long time to go without a shower.
Yeah. Yeah. So not
for everyone.
Another Pacific Crest Trail thing. I'm fascinated by people who do Burning Man. I have a girlfriend who's my age that still does it. She cracks me up. Anyways, thank you guys for coming in today. And it'll be Labor Day next weekend. I'm hoping I have a few of you who won't want to take vacation time. Right. Think about it. I'd love to see you guys here. If not, I'll have a few bucks to talk about. But anyway,
if not, it'll be Julie.
And it'll be the Julie show.
You're doing tech and talking books.
To do that. One of you need to rescue me, please.
All right. Part of us wants to see that.
Oh, stop it. Stop it. Don't do it. I might have to have some I'll have one of those. Oh, we're having technical difficulties. I'll have to sign up. All right, everybody. Happy reading. Have a good week. See y'all later.
I got